Tell me when you see me. Over here. We're going to be talking about what's happening all the way into our holiday weekend that's coming up. Weekend starting out on Thursday, where we had some big stuff that was going to happen there. That was that was one of those bugs that was on my screen. I really appreciate you being here with me tonight because I am all alone. Once again, I got Sharon in office here. She's going to be QC for tonight. She's going to make sure that everything is okay, that we no longer had, if you missed it last night, we had like a relationship broke up. During the show, we had this relationship breakup that took place, and it was really sad and everything. Sharon is going to be governing all that for tonight and taking care of all that's happening, as well as Heath. He's watching out for everybody. I think we got everybody on staff tonight. Anthony, are you here? Anthony is here as well. And Crystal already joins us here. Crystal, I don't know where you're from, but thank you so much for being with us here tonight. We are working on our viewers right now as we speak. We got 11. I think we're going up against that show again tonight. I don't remember what show that is. Yellowback, yellow screen, yellow something. We're going up against that probably. But you know what? The weather's always so much more important. We're going to be talking about the weather, things that are going to be changing here. Buffalo, New York, you guys finally out of the thick of things here, at least as far as the precipitation falling and hampering your efforts to clean up. My gosh, what a couple of days it has been for you there. I know it's been really, really tough. I saw a new total today of something like 88 inches. I don't know if you can actually... I don't know. Somebody's going to write a paper on whether or not you can measure it, because no longer is it really flat anywhere where you can go out and just go, I can measure it here, because it's always going to be contoured. There's going to be a building somewhere that kind of helped it, the wind to blow in a certain direction, and as a result probably changed it and altered it just a little bit from here to there. So measuring it at this point, it really has to be like a scale. So we're going to say from 70 to 90. Is probably a good scale in and around Buffalo as it all took place. Just the perfect storm for a lake effect snow event. It was the perfect storm that sort of set up into that area now. And you're going to see some more snowfall, but nothing like what we had originally, nothing like what was going to take place there. And, it just kind of all came together at the same time when it all happened like that. And that's certainly what we were looking at. Are we doing all right with microphone, video, everything? Because I'm holding my breath here. We really haven't had a totally clean show just yet in quite some time, but I want to get to that, and hopefully we can do that and have one of those kind of things happening here before too long. Can I show you? This is Niagara Falls at night. This is like the live image of Niagara Falls. They put the lights on it there. How pretty is that? Where the air temperature is now 23 degrees. They got a dew point of something like 10 to 15 degrees. And visibility is now up. But Niagara Falls at night is a beautiful, beautiful sight there. And you talk about water content now. They got a lot of water coming over the falls. You might remember it was Nikola Tesla who decided he was going to try to make some electricity out of this there at Niagara at the station. He'd be loving this right now because they're going to have a ton of water coming over Niagara Falls from either upstream or downstream, because the liquid equivalent of the snowfall that is, now it's no longer a liquid. It turned into a solid. That liquid equivalent is somewhere between 6 and 7 inches of actual rain that fell there into the area. So this is going to be an unprecedented sort of thing that'll be taking place. Who's the dude behind me here? I don't know, but it should have restarted there overall. But that's where we are at the moment, what we got going on at the moment. We're looking at some of our cameras. Gaylord camera, one of my favorites up there. You got a duck, a goose. I think it's a goose, actually, and a snowman that's ongoing right there. Keep going to this because I have seen some incredible stuff when you start talking about these cameras. Now, the U.S. Inspection Plaza there, that is the area between U.S. and Canada, and you couldn't see that the other night, if you remember. It wasn't visible off into the distance. We didn't have a way to see what was going off into the distance, but you can see the snow plows have brought it up and took it to the edges there. Now the roadways are looking pretty good at this point. We don't have a whole lot going on there as far as the roadways go and any problems that would be occurring. Right now we're watching some of the current conditions across the rest of the eastern half of the nation. The second box that we have here down to the right, well, we've got temperatures tonight really that we're looking at. Now it's going to plummet with a clear sky. We'll look for the thermometer to reach down into the upper teens, low 20s in places like Buffalo. You got white snow that is on the ground, so that's just going to compile itself in the hours to come. And any precipitation at all is very light now. We don't see anything that looks winter-like as far as a sustained snowfall goes. You got a little light snow still falling here just south of Colden. And there's actually going to be, some of these areas are going to look like snow, but it's blowing snow. It's not actually falling from the sky anymore. It's falling from the neighbor's house over there. And until that melts, there's going to be problems there. Off to the north, you can see across Lake Ontario, we got some snow falling here on the American side, on the U.S. side of things. There's snow falling across this region. It's 27 degrees down near Rochester. We got 20s, 23 right now at Watertown and beyond. So that'll be a pretty big deal here as we move along as well into some of those areas where we're going to be expecting more and more as we move along. Yes, Syracuse. Here's a shout out to Syracuse for you. Josh Burnham says, hello, evening, folks. And let's get, we need to get everybody to call your neighbors, call the dog, call everybody, call your sister, call your brother, because we're going to be on here for just quite a while now. We had 77 views, but I need more than that because they're going to come and take my chicken away if I don't get to 500 tonight. That's what they said earlier when they were talking to me, and it's a really sad story. I have to maintain 500 viewers in order to keep my chicken. Who I'll show you. If we get a chance, I'll show you my chicken just a little bit later on. Best of the best from the last couple of days as far as Adair goes in his videos. He took this while he was on the floor puking, and it was puking outside too. It was snowing really, really hard. You can see some rutting that was taking place, but this is when it was coming down. It had a high water content to it, so it wasn't floating. It was flying down at this point, and all the scrapers were out. That's got to be a fulfilling job there. People work hard, and I know they work all the way through the night and everything, but we had a snow plow where I worked a couple times in Denver, and I used to beg to drive it. They never would let me because I wasn't a good driver when it was just sunny and dry and 70 degrees, but that's one of those things there where you've got to feel like you're a big bad dude sitting there when you're behind the wheel. Now, this was snowfall. This is what we technically term as puking. And this guy right here, he's doing it right. He's got his snow plow. He's like, where's the cat? Where'd the cat go? And this guy, he's out in it in a, what? Is this an Acura? I don't know why they're out there with an Acura. Unless it's a medical emergency, you should have been fined for being out there if it was anything else in a medical emergency, and I hope they did that. I know some of the big 18-wheel trucks, they weren't supposed to be out there. They clogged the roadways quite a bit. Didn't have to. I know there's reasons to travel. I know Adair needed to travel, and, this guy walking towards the camera, he was worried about his mustache. He had been trimmed for months and months, so he was worried about it as well. But up here, up to the front, you're looking at, actually, one of these, I think, is Brandon Clement. And they told him to turn his lights on. They said, Brandon, turn your lights on so everybody can see you. That was the people who were in the area there who were in control of what was happening. So Visibility super low at this point. That's some of the better video that we've had and that we were looking at there as we moved along. Right now, let's go to the show, and I want to show you what it looked like early in the day today. This is from the Niagara Falls camera. Once again, when it was 23 degrees, the Canadian side is over there. The U.S. side is over here, and just a ton of water. Now, a lot of this is melting. Right now, when it's down to the low 20s, it's not melting so much, but a lot of it is melting, and as we've gone through the last 24 hours, we have seen that. Now, the other thing that we're looking at here at the moment is that we do have the flow coming in from the southwest. Can you see the wind barbs? I mean, this whole thing is trucking from the south and southwest. This is the subtropical jet stream that's getting involved here. We have a northern jet stream that is the Arctic jet stream. We have a subtropical jet stream that's also taking place. That is this one that you see that has all the cloud cover still involved across the southern United States and moving it northward up into New England. And as a result, the moisture keeps flowing on. This is an endless path of moisture coming in from both the Pacific and out over the Gulf of Mexico, western Gulf of Mexico, and bringing it back in. So endless source of moisture that is taking place here across the region, and just as a result, we'll have more of that as we move along into the hours to come. But that's the visible satellite imagery from the early part of the day today. I move further into motion, and I can also show you that what we're looking at here, the big picture, is showing us that much of this is going to continue to make its way across the rest of the area there too. So we'll keep that in mind as we move along. And right now we don't have any sources that would change that overall. I understand some of the audio was high on our B-roll, and I'll take care of that in just a few moments. But Cheryl, thank you so much. Thanks for letting the world know. Are you from Cheryl? Where are you from? Are you from somewhere out of the, like a long way off? Penny should be protected at all costs, and she is. And I'm trying to watch these. I want to make sure I answer all your questions for the night tonight, and we move along. Now, this has been updated, although I didn't see the latest one, but still, Orchard Park, 77 inches. I think they went with 85 now in Orchard Park and beyond. For the most part, a couple of things you were seeing. One's a daily record snowfall at the Buffalo Airport for the 19th of 17 inches. The old previous record was only 7. That's a dud. It only 7, so you doubled that. Cheryl's from BC, Canada, British Columbia in Canada. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And, we're trying to let the world know, trying to let everybody know. This is a new venture by myself and Brett Adair. We have been sort of doing this now. Well, actually, Brett and I have known each other since he was just a wee little baby. Since he was a wee little tot, I've known Brett Adair. He actually called when I was on the air in Birmingham, Alabama. He called and gave me a critique, said I wasn't using the radar correctly. It was our first contact. So he was a little smart aleck at that point, but I got to like him after a while, and he loved the weather. He loved the weather, and he loved the Atlanta Braves, so we became quick and friends for quite some time here. And now we do continue to do so. There's some of the event totals now, 80 plus. I did. How much? The latest? And this is some of the estimations because you can see it's very pixelated here, but it tells us that there's a belt of 80 plus from I-90 southward all the way down to Dunkirk. In that area there, the subtropical jet stream really picking up out of the south, and that's why you see all the cloud cover here. Basically from out over the Pacific that comes across Mexico and the rest of the area. And pretty much what it says overall there is what you get. A subtropical jet means clouds and moisture. High pressure into the central United States. That high pressure is responsible for a northerly wind that comes in and moves across the rest of the area and the eastern half of the country. Hold on, because I got to get my picture out of this here because you can't really see what's going on here. So I'm going to take my face out of this. No, I didn't. I don't know what I just took my face out of. Now let's do it. Now this is the average temperature departure, 1990 to 2020, which says November the 14th through November the 20th. It was certainly much colder. The blue areas indicate less than 10 or 10 degrees, a negative 10-degree number. And as a result, that's why it was so cold here. Warmer out on the outer edges, and we're going to talk about that more in just a couple of seconds about the ability to be warmer as we move through time here, because I do think that in the long-term forecast, we're going to see warmer conditions that will be taking place. I do want to show you this, too. These are some of the highlights coming up for the rest of this week. This is on Thursday when the actual temperatures across the deep south, notice the orange colors, those are 60s and 70s along the Gulf Coast. But notice that right at the Mississippi River at this point, and this is going to be, again going to be on Thursday here. Let me see if I can find the exact time because I froze this before it actually filled in the exact time. This is going to be Thursday afternoon, I think, at some point, probably right there into the, it's going to be right about noontime. So this is what the actual temperatures should be like as we move along through the period there at noontime. And that means there is an awesomely large and elongated cold front along the Mississippi River that will begin to change things a little bit as we move along. And by that, I mean severe weather chances will start to peek into the picture as we move along. We'll have that definitely coming in as we get into that time frame on Thursday, Friday, and maybe again on Saturday for somewhere down into the deep south, including the state of Florida. And then this big thing. This is on Thursday. This is the anomaly to the barometric pressure, which says it's going to be pretty low here. We got a low pressure that will be moving through. Lines, the black lines, those are barometric pressure lines. We call those ISO bars. Anything that is a line of equality is called an ISO something. Lines of temperatures are isotherms. Lines of equal wind, isotax. ISO means that it is along the line of being equal. And you can see here, this is definitely an anomaly that goes below what is normal. I even see some 960s up here. These are, just going to show us some of the abnormalities that are showing up. And you would think that'd be a big snow event, but at this point, it's on the warm side of things, and they don't have anything that really looks like that much. We'll look at it in greater detail in just a few moments. And also, again, here is our Thursday, Friday thing on in Alabama. Got 1,003 low that'll be coming through. If it's any further to the north and west, that would mean severe weather for the southeastern United States. Once again, we were talking about all this moisture from the south. It's coming in from well down to the south and moving northeastward. The dry air is indicated by the orange coloration that you see. The moist air down to the south, which takes it across the state of Florida into the Panhandle, also down to the Keys. You see there's some more moisture coming into the Keys, down into Key West. Subtropical jet already showed you this, but this is what it means. It means we're going to continue that little pineapple flow, if you will, from Hawaii. Basically, you can trace it all the way back over here. Warmer conditions. Now, this indicates to us that over the past 24 hours, what this map is, over the past 24 hours, the coloration changes are going to be for the warmer or colder. Blue, obviously, for the colder. So anywhere east of the Mississippi River, it's been colder since this exact hour yesterday. Meanwhile, in the Midwest, the state of Texas, and all the way up into the upper Midwest, it's warmer. About 10 to 20 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday, just to give you an idea of what's been going on here across the rest of the country. We've been concentrating so much on the upper portions of the Great Lakes that we really didn't get around to what was happening across the rest of the country because there wasn't a whole lot going on across the rest of the country. Now, if you look at it in the long term here, and I told you we'd be looking at some of this, over the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the climatology department of the National Weather Service, well, they're saying from Denver, Colorado, there's a big bullseye right there of above normal temperatures. That'll be for the next several days, above normal, near normal across the rest of the country, but still much below here into the east and southeast. That covers the state of Florida all the way down and up through the mid-Atlantic, actually into the Carolinas on the eastern side into the Carolinas. That's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, which goes from November the 25th all the way through the end of this month and into the 1st of December. The 8 to 14 day, pretty much the same. What we're still looking at here is a temperature difference from the 27th to the December 3rd timeline. Above normal conditions, it looks like, as we end the month of November and into December. Quite often happens like that. If you go through a period where you've got below normal conditions, it doesn't take long for it to cycle back into the other direction, especially when you're watching the state of Alaska. Down on the bottom side of the screen there, Alaska. When Alaska warms, well, it cools off across the continental United States. When Alaska cools off, it tends to at least follow by a change into the eastern United States to just the opposite. So below normal precipitation across the central and southern sections of the U.S. from November the 25th through the 29th. And then if you move along, equal chances December the 3rd through the 16th. That's the 3 to 4 week precipitation anomalies if it should take place. And the only anomaly is above normal rainfall for the Pacific North and Western United States, not so much for the rest of the area. Below normal rainfall conditions, it's already kind of droughty. I mean, into the deep south, you already got quite a few areas here where we don't have a whole lot in the way of anything that's heavy coming on by. So it does look kind of bleak at this point when it comes to the rainfall totals as to what is happening here and there across the region. And so we'll certainly keep our eyes on this as we move along. What have I got? Yeah, that's what friends are for. Do for each other. You take care of each other. Take care of the roads. I hope somebody's helping you out with that. Cheryl's have been snowing in British Columbia. I haven't really looked at the forecast there to know for sure what is happening in British Columbia, but I know there has been some weather up there over the past little while that we've been looking at overall. A couple things I want to talk to you about, too, because we've been talking about this thing for quite some time, was what in the world's going on down into the Caribbean. There were some forecasts that were telling us that there was going to be some kind of something. Was it going to be a baroclinic low? Was it going to be a subtropical low? Tropical low? What was it going to be? And we'll just look at some of the modeling here and go to the global models and look at the GFS. It's probably going to take us back pretty far as to what is happening. But the composite reflectivity would show us as we move along. And you know what? We will. As we move along right now, you can see what we're looking at basically here down into just to the south and east of the Yucatan is where all this is going to happen here, the south of the Yucatan. And there is some growth here. You can see some showers that are trying to grow up and be something. But this is not what it looked like days ago. This looks like it's a very disorganized sort of thing. And it just goes kind of bonkers. You can see it's trying to do something here. It does look like, in fact, it wants to curve. There's some, you can't see that. I'm the only one that can see that. Is that not true? I'm sorry. Sometimes I look down and I'm not really sure. So we move along here, and this is into the 2:46 hour. It's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, 11:30. And I don't normally go out this much, but you know what? For skits and grins, I don't remember what they call it. Skits and grins. We're going to go out that far and see the curvature here. So there's some reason to believe it wants to spin. It's not like it was days and days ago, though, where it filled in there and it was looking kind of weird and like a serious low-pressure center. Comes across Cancun. If you got a Cancun vacation planned for the 1st of December, go ahead and take pictures early if you can. And then you can see a little bit more organized down here into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. That'd be the Bay of Campeche, where things start to end down there. They start to look a little bit different. But there's still some spinning, some rotation that's ongoing into this region all the way through the 2nd of the month. This whole glob here looks like there could be some kind of a low pressure trying to form. Now, again, it's not like it was days and days and days ago when we had more in the way of an organized system here. But what is happening, and we talked about this is how it would happen should there be some sort of a tropical situation, a low pressure center to form down here this far into the Gulf of Mexico this time of the year, or even in that portion. Here's the old cold front, and the front was swinging down here. And it was just swinging. And then right here on the bottom side of it, sometimes this is what will happen is you'll get low pressure to form. And I think that's what was trying to happen. Low pressure is trying to form on the southwestern part of this. And as a result, all was going to do that. Be that way. So we'll watch this. Let's move along here and see what happens as we move forward. And as we do that, where does it go? It goes nowhere. It just kind of splits up. But look how strong this cold front is, well out into the Atlantic Ocean, into the Sargasso Sea, where you've got, plenty of reason to know that that is an elongated cold front right there, which should be followed by a very dominant high pressure into the southeastern United States, which is the reasoning that the Climate Prediction Center was saying it is going to be dry here into the rest of the southeastern U.S. And so it should be that way going into the 1st of December as we see it right now. Kind of a weird sort of scenario there. Let's see if we can put anything else in here to find out if we got precipitation type. I'm going to go back in time here with you. because it's just a cool thing to go back in time. We're going to go back in time and take a look at what is going on here overall. We're going to start here at the 18Z level. That is noontime today when the modeling began, and spit out a forecast. There you go up through the 12th. And there's really nothing. Look how high and dry it is across the entire United States at this point. It's super dry, dominated by a big H on the map. That means hallelujah, good-looking weather, no changes, nothing really. Now, on the east side of that high, you got a north wind, so that's a chilly wind. On the west side, you got just the opposite going on, so you got wind coming in from the south, which would be warmer. But if we go into motion here, we keep going into motion. I hope you can see this as well as I can. We're going into the 25th, the 26th. I'll stop it right there. And still nothing happening. Now, we're beginning to see a system drop out of the Pacific Northwest into the Colorado Rockies. And it's about this time of the year when that happens. Stuff drops down into the Rockies, reforms, and becomes some sort of a low or whatever in Colorado. Sometimes that happens right now. This has snow for Denver, Colorado on Thanksgiving Day. I remember one of the biggest snows I ever saw in Denver was on Thanksgiving Day. Moving along into the 1st of December, and that kind of goes away. We still see the southern half of the nation, though, peaking up here. And I'm just going to back up here for a minute because we lost the system down to the south, the one that we've been talking about, looking at for quite some time. We'd sort of lost that. But watch this. Watch all this moisture that jets up from the southwest and coming into the picture here. Moreover, this is the one that brings our dew points up, and that should be a player as we move along into the Thanksgiving Day forecast. Now, personally, I'm going to tell you this. And I used to, anybody who knows me knew I managed a bunch of people, a bunch of meteorologists when I was in Denver, Colorado, back a while back. I had quite a few. And the one thing I hated, the one thing that I really disliked was for anybody to call it Turkey Day. Has nothing to do with turkeys, folks, other than the fact that you eat them. So I think it's a sacrilege to call it Turkey Day. It's Thanksgiving Day, and we celebrate it because of Thanksgiving. We're supposed to be happy about stuff. Off my soapbox, back onto the map. Here we go. I can show you currently as we move along. Watch the moisture coming into the deep south. Now, this is a cutoff low. This is a low pressure that kind of got out of hand, and it's left behind. The actual low is cool front moving on. But what you do have here, folks, what you got is your elongated little cold front that turns out to be an occlusion. This is the occluded part of the front back here, which means the cold air has outrun our warm air, and it occludes right there. Now, sometimes this will then lead to severe weather. That's why we've been watching this for a couple of days, and we're going to see if it changed at all. But you got a cold front that hangs down into the Gulf of Mexico at this time, and then we have the possibility for the severe weather to start to pull up. Places like Birmingham, places beyond. And it's pretty easy to see in all of this scenario, the low pressure center itself is left over here into Oklahoma. Well, around it, actually, you can see there's some snow possibilities here into Oklahoma City and beyond. There's a decent chance to get snowfall in there. When is this going to be? On Friday the 25th, so right after Thanksgiving Day, Friday. You might actually see some snow coming back into that region there before you move on through and down the line. Let's move on down the line with a forecast. We get a little bit further out and watch the low carry off and carries on all the way through. So it comes out of here, then the low moves up, carries on my wayward son right up into there, and that's when you get a pretty decent little low pressure center, but it's on the warm side of things. It doesn't produce any snowfall at all. Jets off to the north and to the east. Let me see if I can find any reason to believe that this might be severe. Surface-based cape. It's going to take it just a second to build. It's 7:28, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us right now. Anthony says he's got an all-new good one, and I appreciate that, Anthony. I don't know what that means, but I just want to make sure that you feel acknowledged. Now, we're looking down into the Gulf of Mexico. That is going to be on Friday, the 11/25 at 12 p.m., and that's when we have some instability. What does this mean? This means instability. You're looking at the capes coming up. That's the available instability that belongs with this system, and we see it more and more. Now, this is a long-range forecast model. It's not a close-range one that has high resolution to it at all, but the other thing I can tell you is that the dew point conditions are high, and for me, this time of the year, I look at the dew points like if they're in the 63, 64 range, I'm a believer. I'm a Justin Bieber. I'm a Bieber believer. There's no way I could tie that in at all. But anyway, this is what it looks like, and you can see the dew points. This thing winds up. It's a nasty system again. Thanksgiving Day, and then Friday, it looks like throughout part of the deep southern United States, where the dew points are really high here. At this point, you got dew points that are soaring, sort of. They're up there into the. I can't do that because it displaces everything. But just how warm are the dew points? Let me get them back over here. That's an entirely different date. I moved too far along. So here are the dew points on the 25th. And if we just kind of take a look at them and scope them out, see, there's 63 all the way up to Tuscaloosa, 61, 62, 63. And the blue is what we're looking at. So a very sort of nefarious looking sort of situation at the moment that you just always have to watch this time of the year. These are dew points that are 60 degrees plus, which is an sort of a number, especially when you start talking about the time of day. This is 9 a.m. into the morning. I bet if you push that up a little bit more, the dew points come up a little bit more. We go up to about the 3 o'clock hour, which is the heating of the day, and that would tell us that we probably still have a situation that's very, very worrisome there on this particular time and date. And that means that we're going to have a frontal boundary whizzing on through. We got a warm front up here. We got a warm front up here, right in this area. We've certainly, very easy to see that we do have low pressure sitting right about here. That's your low pressure center overall. And then you got a cold front that's going on to the south here across the rest of the southern part of this right there. Very definitive line where the drier, cooler air is trying to sneak in behind this system just like this. And it'll do so. And then you got your really warm stuff coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico, which would lead to showers and thunderstorms. It could be pretty tough. Aubrey Neal says CAPE stands for Convective Available Potential Energy. Aubrey Neal says that from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much, Aubrey, for that, but I don't care. No. I do care. That's my daughter. She's watching. She's one of you who are watching tonight. My daughter is watching to make sure I don't say anything stupid at this point. So thank you, Aubrey Neal. She's also a moderator, I believe, or she just wanted to be, just in case I forgot. Aubrey and I used to go storm chasing together. She went with me one time into Tuscaloosa. We were sitting there in a parking lot, and we were watching the weather, and all of a sudden, a shingle fell on our truck. I was live on television at the time for a television station out of Birmingham, Alabama. That no longer... that I don't work for any longer. I was live, and we were sitting there, and Aubrey said, Daddy, is that a shingle on top of the truck? And I said, yes, that is a shingle, and then some other stuff. It's normally, first of all, you get some sort of building materials. When you know there's a tornado and it's been on the ground, and you're close enough to it, eventually gravity always wins. And whatever was up there and in it that we can see on the radar sometimes has to fall. So first of all, it fell as shingles, then it fell. We saw a lot of insulation that was coming down that kind of looked very snowy at that point. And on live television, I'll have to find it. I'll have to dig it out because it is on YouTube at some point on live television. I'm talking to this other meteorologist in the area who's not here anymore, and I'm saying, yeah, it's pretty bad out here. We're beginning to see some building materials, some debris that's falling from the sky, and you can faintly hear my daughter, who is driving on the other side, who says, I don't want to be here anymore, Daddy. She said that, and the anchor who was with me was like, why are you there with your child? She wasn't a child. She was in her, I don't know, how old were you, Aubrey? You were 17 or something like that again. But, so that happens. Where are we? We're down here with the modeling. We're looking at the modeling, and once again, moving forward in time to show you. That's when I think we have the possibility for severe weather coming back in across this region of South Alabama. That is going to be during I think more Friday than Thursday now. I think it's going to be more like a Friday timeline when this comes through, but definitely that is the possibility for severe right about here, which is just outside of Thanksgiving Day, and it's all because of low pressure that'll be sitting there. Let's move forward in time now to talk about the rest of the area. We're looking at the rest of the nation because that's not the only one. There was another event that was showing up, and we'll go forward in time again to show you. That one passes on by. Look how quickly the moisture begins to wrap back around again, coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, coming out of the Houston region. Look at these San Antonio, Austin, Houston. All of these dew point conditions are super high, flirting with disaster here. That 60-degree isotherm goes way up in here. So this is positive vorticity possible here. This is where things are looking more and more likely like you could get severe weather across this region. It's in advance of a cold front. We move forward a little bit further forward in time, a very sharp delineation between our dew point now, where the dew point in Fort Worth, this is on Wednesday, the 11:30, Wednesday at 3 a.m., and I can just show you how sharp this is because you got like a Waco, Texas dew point of 62 and a Fort Worth at 34. Huge temperature change. Now this is what this time of the year severe weather is all about. Severe weather is all about the fact that the temperatures are so much different. We derive the energy from that. And this is when you start to, really talking about severe weather season again. This is not the dominant severe weather season. We always typically talk about the primary severe weather season being in the spring, March, April, and May. But concurrently, there's always a secondary season, if you will, that lasts from one of my busiest days on television in the Birmingham market was September the 16th of 1996, like 41-something tornado warnings. Shows up. So September, October, November, December, though. I do remember Thanksgiving situations where we did have people who had lost everything during Thanksgiving with a couple of tornadoes, and that does, in fact, sort of happen. Moving along, that thing goes on by, flattens out down here into the Gulf of Mexico. Now you just got an elongated sort of situation of a cold front trying its best to go through, and it does. That's the difference about this time of the year. Cold fronts go all the way down past Florida, and you get back into the 4th, Monday the 4th and beyond, and probably just in a cycle to do it all over again a couple of times. I think off and on, that's what you're looking at. When we talk about the weather all the time, looking and being a liquid, because, if you look how it kind of waves around. There's waves of energy going through. I think I can even show you on a larger scale. Northern Hemisphere. Look at all the waves that are passing on by. Everything acting as if it were a liquid because it is indeed a liquid. Coming on shore here, several systems back over the western United States. You can see into San Francisco and beyond. Don't stare too much because it can make you nauseous. Because I just got a little weary-eyed myself. So kind of where we are there at the moment with everything that's happening out of this thing. Now, I need questions. What happens every single night is the minute I hang up, somebody says, oh, but I wanted to ask you this, and I'd love to, sort of highlight your area if you like. What can I do as far as helping you out with your forecast ahead as we move along here because we're still expecting more in the way. Got a couple of days right now of light weather, but we're starting to get into the thick of it. We'll start to see more and more in the way of heavier precipitation coming as we move through time. But basically, this thing that we were watching the other night, this is amazing to me now, how the Peace Bridge deck is now the U.S. Inspection Plaza has cleared out. I mean, they got rid of this stuff really fast there across that area. It's now 23 degrees there and looking pretty good. And the Niagara live camera, that's not live, that's from right before dark. But how pretty was that as well? The Maid of the Mist that goes down there underneath the falls. Not underneath, but there's a boat that goes down in that area. I don't know if they're flying, if they're doing that today or not. Somebody asked me if Brett and I had broken up, and that was not the relationship that I was talking about. Brett and I have not broken up. We're good friends. He is like a son to me, and like I was a father. He just doesn't call enough. Jesse Dana, no, I live in D.C., so I think I missed some of this conversation. Any severe weather expected in D.C.? No, I don't really see anything. We're kind of looking at what we were looking at there was pretty much a benign forecast there all across the country, really, when it comes to severe weather. I don't see anything that really looks like it's could get out of hand anytime really soon here overall. So, looking pretty good. We have 142 people watching at the moment. We've had 1,000 views so far. I think 1,000 views saved Penny's life, and so we're feeling pretty comfortable about that for tonight, that Penny is going to be able to make it through If you missed it last night, Brett Adair was out and about. Brett was truly, I'm not making fun of him at all. Brett was as sick as I've ever heard him talk about being sick. I mean, the guy was laying on the floor, and he called me, and he said, I can't move. I can't really do anything. I was supposed to go out. He was going to be on every single network across the nation and the BBC, and he called and he said, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. And I've been banned from all of those networks, so I couldn't do it for him. And it was pretty much, just sort of a deal that he had to miss out on some of it. But he did go out long enough to do this, took this picture. And a lot of people asked, Brett, what are you doing? How did he get out there? Did he fall asleep while he was deer hunting? Is he short? Was he not tall enough to ride the Runaway Mountain Cars, which, if you're not familiar with, Six Flags over Georgia. Getting ready to go down to Bunny Slope, but got nervous and stayed there till it snowed around him. That wasn't the case either. So just, one of those things that only would happen to Brett Adair. Brett Adair. Depends on how sleepy I am in order to do it. Roll the tape, David. What tape? Yes, it's real. Roll what tape? Thanksgiving night. Anthony, retired a power pole. I noticed a power pole. I gotta move that monitor a little bit closer to me because Southwest Michigan checking in. Been digging out from the lake effect. Where in Southwest Michigan there, Mustang James, are you? And do you know, Sally? Snow climb. Roll the tape. The snow climb. I don't know. You roll the tape. I don't have a tape of that. I don't think. This is Brett climbing a flagpole. I think you'll see him come into the shot here just at the bottom. And I just got rid of that. Just did. Jar Jar thinks that the pic is fake. No, the pic's not fake. Hold on. I think I can find it. Hold on. Move that forward. That's a policeman. That's a car that is stuck. Let's check the trailers. There's something. There's a guy with glasses. I don't know, but look at this right here. This is Brandon Clement and Buck Molly riding along, and this video. Bam! Heavy snow starts hitting the air right there, so it ends up being a whiteout. And lots of cars that are stranded there. This is 90 up here. That's how we know they're coming in from the other side. And losing some cars. We're sitting out there waiting for a while. B-roll is loud. You know why? Because Dummy had it up. I so apologize, Aubrey. Thank you for watching. Now the B-roll is not only not loud, it's non-existent. So I do apologize for that. Thank you. How about now? Is that better? All right. Thank you, Aubrey. I really appreciate that. Nobody else told me. So he pulls up behind him. There's these trucks right there into the area, and they're like, what is going on? And they all got stranded. So they were riding around. It was really, really killer. Sharon, you're not fired, but you're probably going to be on academic probation. Here we go. State Express. There's a vehicle right there that's has no idea what they're doing. They're trying to sell something and not really doing it at all. There's a van over there. I told you not to take the van. But why can't I take the van? Well, all right, take the small car then. Took the small car, and then this guy got up here. What in the world happened here? Why would you come up here and then you go, well, it's up to the hood. Now I think I'll stop. I think I'll probably quit because it's all the way up to the hood. And I won't be doing that anymore. Can I do a short-term? Sorry, my computer just crashed. 1 second. Mustang James says, sorry. my computer just crashed. So we'll wait. We'll wait for you, James. Are you crazy? Ari says thanks. It scared my cats. The audio did. Okay. Nobody wants to know anything about their forecast ahead. I got 102 people here. If it falls below, I get an electrical shock, I think. So my chair says. Is that other show on? Are we fighting with that yellow something show? The Yellowstone show. Do you want me to? I don't know how we go from 90 viewers to 153 all of a sudden just because I said I might get shocked. Hey, Chris. There's Chris Lyons. Long time. No see, no talk to, but good to see you and hear from you, buddy. Really appreciate it. Mustang James, I live on the east side of Kalamazoo County in the village of Climax. We got about... I'm really starting to feel like this could be a setup. Well, I just looked over at my sensor and she didn't have a thing to say about it. All right, Mustang James. I live on the east side of Kalamazoo County in the village of Climax. We got about 10 inches. But the west side of the county, they got over 20 inches. It was over the course of a few days, though. It was close. I thought I was going to read into that. It was going to get worse and worse and worse, and I was going to get, YouTube is watching. They got, football's tonight. Yeah, there's football tonight, Chris. I didn't think about that. But we always assume the weather is much more important, especially when it comes to forecasting with the holiday just around the corner. We always want to make sure that we get going on that. I don't think, sometimes I get off of here and I'm like, what did you not do? And sometimes I'll look and I prepared something that was hours and hours and hours long. I didn't do that this time, I don't think. But we've got all the new forecasting data in. I want to look at the model. Let's go to the model really quick because I think the entirety of the NAM 12K resolution is now in, which would tell us a little bit more about what's happening with the weather as far as some of the conditions go. And let's just look at this right now because we're going to look at the this is with the actual temperatures on here. The reds are going to be cold temperatures, and anything else would be not cold, not as cold actually. And let's go to the HER and see how much of this HER we got. We got 38 hours of the HER at 0Z. It goes out to 48 at this point, but we got 30-something hours of it. So let's put precipitation on here first of all and see if there's any kind of precipitation that might be happening into the short term, which would change our weather forecast overall. You can see right now we're valid at this moment. 7 o'clock on Sunday evening. I'll put this into motion to take a look at it. What's happening here? It is high and dry all the way to the west. There's some moisture down to the south. You're trying to sneak into Texas, way deep into the heart of Texas. There's some of this moisture down there around San Antonio and beyond. Goes all the way over to College Station, up into the Longview area, I-20, going over to the western side of Louisiana, from Shreveport southward into some of those areas there. You're looking at Natchitoches into Louisiana, Natchitoches down to Alexandria, and into the western side, if you will, of Cameron Parish, Louisiana. Some of the heavier rain, precipitation coming in right there around Opelousas, and then southward into the New Iberia, Lake Charles area. That's all rainfall there at the moment, coming in from west to east out of the Sabine National Forest, Sabine River that goes all the way down there to and just beyond the Beaumont-Port Arthur region there, too. So this is hugging the coast. This is that Houston stuff. San Antonio all the way to Tuesday. And then it says, I'm not ready for the rest of you, but you kind of get the picture here overall. What we're looking at is some of the moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico and stringing its way northward. But other than that, there's no moisture really that has anything to do with any heavy precipitation. Down here in the state of Florida, we got some wet weather coming in here, too, into the Marsh Harbor, the Bahamas, and throughout the rest of the region. This is kind of a wet scenario here from Gainesville southward all the way down to the Keys, where we do have kind of wet weather here into Miami-Dade, back onto the west in the Alligator Alley region there, if you will, along I-75, going northward over to Tampa, St. Pete, and beyond into Spring Hill, too. Some scattered showers, but a lot of this does remain offshore. There's not a whole lot going on there at the moment, other than what you see is what you get, and there are no big changes overall. The Pacific North and West is kind of wet here. There's still going to be more precipitation coming in and onshore just south of Vancouver Island. Did you know, by the way, I'm just going to bring this up very briefly, did you know they captured a Sasquatch at Vancouver Island, and it's in like a really big dog carrier they put it in? I've seen the video of it. It's a Sasquatch kind of looking thing, so I can't wait to see that. Somewhere there on the southern part of Vancouver Island, actually, is where that took place. Now we got some rain coming into the western side of Washington State from Bellingham throughout that area that goes along the interstate southward. This is right there. Pacific Coast Highway starts here. PCH that goes all the way down into central and southern sections of California. I've been on this before. What a beautiful, beautiful ride on the 101. Goes down to Newport, into the Depot Bay area and beyond. Coming into Northern California. Beautiful sight here, too, from Coos Bay southward through Oregon into the Oxford area, Gold Beach and beyond Crescent City. We're looking into as well. Northern California, not much going on here. They need some rainfall. In fact, they're looking at some Santa Ana winds here down to the south that have been causing problems for quite some time across all of these regions. So I've been watching out for that too as we move along. Let me show you something really, really quick here if I can. We got a few more minutes. We got 9 more minutes unless somebody asks a really good question. Hope we get good winter this year. Mustang James says we get a good winter. What would that be, Mustang James? What kind of a winter would that be for you to think that it is a good winter? Because I say that because I want to know. I'd really like to know what you think is a good winter overall, because there could be some major changes with this in the forecast. Now, the plotting says not a whole lot's going to happen here, but nonetheless, that's kind of what we got going on at this very moment. I want to show you. Let's just go to some highlights here of what people are having to say, what the National Weather Service offices are having to say about our forecast overall. This is coming in out of South Florida, where tomorrow they're still looking for temps. This isn't bad, is it? Down into South Florida, we're watching with sunshine off and on. That's Lake Okeechobee there in the middle of the screen. Clewiston, Florida, and Palmdale right at 77 degrees. Into the Everglades City area, it's 82. In Miami, you can report an 81-degree reading during the day for tomorrow. Can you stand that? Is that a problem for you there on I-75, or would you like some of that where you live? Because I know it's super cold across the rest of some of these areas there. Chicago, what's going on in Chicago? Well, they didn't even report anything for tonight, but it's still kind of cool there across that area. Grand Rapids always reports something. They have something to say, and for tonight, they're still sticking to their guns. They're going with a partly cloudy sky for tonight. There will be areas of blowing snow there into Grand Rapids, Michigan. Partly cloudy sky. Does it get any simpler than this? They're looking at partly cloudy skies. Areas of blowing snow, 18 to 22, with a southwest gust up to 35 still being possible into the forecast. And how much snow fell here into Michigan? We were talking about this just a little bit earlier. Kalamazoo included 24 inches of snow, according to the Weather Service in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That goes all the way over to Grand Rapids, where they have a 23 there. So Kalamazoo, you won. You beat them by 1 inch in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And sometimes inches do matter, especially when you're talking about this sort of a thing. Cadillac, Michigan at 14. They had 17 in Traverse City. Gaylord, right on the tail end of getting 17 inches of snowfall there near Petoskey at 19. So quite a bit of snow. East Grand Rapids had 30, though, throughout this event. You can see they had 30 inches. Caledonia had 27. Grand Rapids at the National Weather Service office right at 2 feet of snow. And the Paw Paw area, I love Paw Paw and Saranac, two of my favorite towns, always at 23. So right below 24 inches of snow in both of those areas. Now, Grand Rapids said as we look ahead, we're still looking at 37 for the daytime high. All that snow is going to melt. You get into the 40s coming up by Thursday, and that'll be a rain event for the first part of it. May change over to snowfall for the secondary part of that as it passes on by, but it will take it a little while for that to be the case. It's not going to just start snowing there into any of that area, so that's also some very good news and good information there. The northern part of the state, lake effect snow still continuing in a few areas here across northern Michigan. They'll be looking for that moving through the night tonight, but I guess the bigger story is just how cold it is across northern Michigan, because we're going to be falling down into the 15 to 24 degree mark for the night tonight. An isolated snow shower or two on Monday, Tuesday with a mostly cloudy sky, but warming above freezing on Wednesday and Thursday, with highs possibly getting into the low 40s by that point as well. So two other places that we're looking at where we had the likely opportunity to get some more snowfall, and it doesn't look like that's really going to be the big deal into the short term. Over to Detroit, sort of the same thing. Going into St. Louis, what do we expect in St. Louis? Here's a good quick look at the forecast ahead into St. Louis, where over the next several days, high pressure is the dominating feature. That's going to be with us all the way through and up to almost Thanksgiving Day. The high pressure center it's going to be created by the high pressure that's sitting across Atlanta, but milder temperatures. We talked about this on the western side. We'll be looking for the high pressure shifting on to the east. That'll bring southwesterlies into the region, and by Monday, the afternoon highs will warm all the way into the 50s. Like 52, I think, in St. Louis for tomorrow. A few locations might even hit 60. Say it isn't so. 60 degrees. Typically, that's where we start getting set up. That's the setup for severe weather, quite possibly by the time that happens. Looking for temperatures, cold fronts expected to move through during the day on Thanksgiving Day, with highs by Sunday forecast into the 40s and 50s. Slight chance for precipitation here. Significant travel impacts are not expected at this point. Looks like it's going to be quite a quiet sort of scenario that happens there as we move all the way through. And by Thanksgiving Day, climatology says it could be much, much colder. In fact, I think this is pretty interesting. There into St. Louis, Columbia, and Quincy, a record high of 74 degrees was set three different times, in 1966, 73, and also into 81. And the record low of 8 in 1950, with a daily precip total here. These are records of 1.5 inches daily snowfall at 6.5. So it can get quite nasty across both of these areas, depending upon where you are and when you've been there. What time of the year it is across any of these locations for however it might change. What about Nashville? Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City. What are we expecting here? Well, we're looking for tonight low temperature readings that are quite cold, down into the low 20s in Nashville. We got 21 degrees expected by early on Monday morning. Smithville at 18, 19 into Columbia. Tullahoma, Tennessee, looking to go all the way down to 20 degrees for tonight. And Crossville should be into the low 20s before it's over with. On Monday, we'll go with sunshine here in 50s, about 53 into Nashville and Columbia. Low 50s no matter where you go, except for the northernmost parts of the state, where it should be just a little bit warmer. Tomorrow night, we'll go into the upper 20s instead of low 20s, so it should be a little bit nicer outside. Weather 101, what is that? Well, next week they have classes, and we're not going to be there. Climate says that the average high temperature reading should be up to near 60 degrees in Nashville. It should be. Climatology says, and the morning lows should be into the upper 30s and low 40s this time of the year. The record warmest, I hate it when they do this. This always gets really confusing to me. The record warmest low temperature was in the 60s, and the record coldest high temperature, meaning as cold as it was, let's go. Record highs are into the 70s, the upper 70s, and that's really just not going to happen there at either location overall. Anybody got a question? Thank you for covering West Michigan, Dave. You answered my first question. I love you, Mustang James, but nobody has a question. Obadiah, waiting on the next hurricane. You can smell it brewing. That's probably just cat litter, Obadiah. How does a little bitty cat, when they go, oh my gosh, it's just so bad. We're not going to worry about that. I got 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. And Brett says I have to be off the air. 2 more minutes here. What do we got? Go back down to the west, where it's beautiful this time of the year. one of the spots where it's always so beautiful this time of the year is going to be right down here in the southern sections of California, down to San Diego. The weather doesn't change in San Diego. We got 70s here at Anaheim, 75 degrees, 75 also into the Idlewild area, Beaumont, I-10, I-3, 215 that goes southward, 15 into the 5, south of San Clemente. Temps into the 70s, mostly sunny skies projected here. The Santa Anas have been a big problem, though. We got winds coming in down slope, gusting 35 to 45. That's going to be the mountains and the passes there, where the foothills will see northeast winds gusting at 20 to 35, and the strongest winds should be on Thursday. You know why I'm worried about that? Because with it dry like that, this is when the fire season really begins. Thanksgiving Day forecast at the coast, high 70 to 75 into the mountains, breezy with highs into the 50s, valley sunny and breezy, high 75 to 81, and in the deserts it's sunny, 75 to 81 for both of those situations there. The first significant rainstorm, by the way, of the season in 1961 caused major issues from L.A. to San Bernardino near L.A., severe damage to homes and several roadways, fresh wildfires, and sort of that's what happened. Most of what happened in that whole thing that I was just kind of going through, and then I sort of fell asleep. Where are we now? Right now, across the nation as a whole, the weather is somewhat quiet and benign. That is good news for us, and I'm glad to be able to do that. I wanted to show you what had happened into the upper Midwest and in those places there where everybody's trying to get their lives back to normal for Monday in Buffalo, New York, and beyond. So that's pretty good news there overall. Yonez, are you writing from Morocco? Are you seriously watching me fly through this weather in Morocco? Now, that's not like Morocco, Texas. This is the Morocco. Please tell me. You're literally in Morocco. Because I'm going to do the forecast for you, Morocco, if you seriously are. Because I think I got something here. I think I got the ability to do that. Now, I could probably do that. What part of Morocco are you writing from? Yes, Morocco, from Africa. Is there? Do you mind telling us a city in Morocco? Because I'd love to help you out. Is that your new hat? It's not a new hat. Who said I need a new hat? Where from Morocco are you? Can you tell me? This is the African Morocco. And you know what? I actually used to do the weather for the eastern side of the North Atlantic. I did the weather for shipping lanes there for a couple of years. Not very long, but I did a lot of stuff from Portugal southward. I did a lot of weather forecasting there. So I know a little bit about it as you come around the other side of this area. I always watch 10-meter wind speeds and that kind of thing. You're looking at them right here. We've got significant upwelling coming in from the south. And first of all, I just appreciate the conversation. How cool is that to know that somebody is watching you from another country across, obviously from all the way across the ocean and into Morocco, which is right there. If you're not familiar with it, Morocco's the northwestern area of Africa, north of the Western Sahara and Algeria. What is the forecast? The Sasquatch creativity in the forest. What was the forecast? Black Friday, Saturday in New Hampshire. Well, I was doing Morocco, but the New Hampshire forecast is pretty exciting here, actually, because that's when stuff really starts to happen. We'll go to it very quickly. It's the last thing I've got time to do here. This is New Hampshire. We're looking at total precip here and the precip type, as it were. You got that storm system that'll be popping out, the one that we were looking at that looked like it was going to do something. And from 18Z today, this is, I assume you said northern New Hampshire. Yes, we feel that call from America. You do. You absolutely will be feeling that from America because come around the top side of the Pacific swell, the North Pacific swell, and then come down into that area from Spain, Portugal, southward down into Morocco. So pretty much the thing. What is the weather in Manhattan? So you got a lot of precip coming in to New Hampshire. This is going to be on Saturday. The precipitation really starts to build. Saturday, 9 a.m., it looks like it really comes in pretty hard there. But you're going to be on the warm side of things. The north side is well off to the northwest, so this looks like a rain event. Ends with snowfall into northern New Hampshire. And, all the way through, the weekend, this coming weekend, there are snow showers there on the backside of this into New Hampshire as it all comes back in and works its way around. But it doesn't look like there's a ton of snowfall there. If you look at the snowfall totals that go beyond the event, they're greatest here north of the White Mountains, up into Berlin. The northern part of this, which is going to be along 26, I think, County 26, or all the way up 3, US 3, coming in from the southwest into the Connecticut Lakes headway area. There's some heavier snowfall totals up there that should be taking place. That's far northern New Hampshire. New York City, right now, we're just really talking about the fact that it is kind of chilly there into New York City. Not a whole lot going on with any changes just yet, but the METAR data tells us that we've got into New York City right here, right now. Last one, I'm going to do this really quick from KOXX, and this would tell us out on Long Island. We got temps that are sitting into the 30s. It's 32 degrees there currently, but in New York City proper, we're sitting at 32 with the dew point right there into the low 30s as well. Kind of gusty, winds at 10, gusting to 18 miles per hour out of the west. They're into New York City. And beyond out on Long Island, we're still looking at Smithtown right there at 31. Fairly uniform what is happening here with the temperatures across the state of New York. All right. Is it snowing in Buffalo? It is not snowing in Buffalo for the first time in quite some time. There's been snow showers around the area during the day today, but at this very moment, I see no reflectivity. You know what? Let's talk about this briefly for 60 seconds, because do you see what this is? This is just to the south of Buffalo, and it looks like it's going to be thunder showers down here, because look how persistent it is down to the south that we're looking at. But I want to show you this. Even when that stuff moves away, there's a little bit of light snow that falls in Fredonia and beyond. Watch what happens with this stuff. It just stays there, and you know what that is? This is going to be wind turbines. These are going to be the big wind turbines that you see outside making electricity. These are them, and they're going to be, the reason they show up so well is because they're ice now. The fan blades are pretty thick anyway, but this is now ice reflecting back to the radar site all the way over to Buffalo. So that's why when you put this into motion, it doesn't move. It looks like thunderstorms, but put it into motion, and it's all there in the same place. So kind of ran up on that all of a sudden. All right, nonetheless, I appreciate you being with us. We had about 75,000 people who were on with us at peak, run under 75,000. I really appreciate you being with us for tonight. It was much less than that, but I think we're competing against that show, if you will. So just to sort of keep that in mind, that is what happened. But I really, really thank you for being on with us tonight. I had a good time. I hope you did as well. As we sort of keep our eyes on everything into the future, we'll make sure that we let you know what's happening at your home in your neck of the woods and any other changes that might occur as we move through and into the next several days, because it is going to be changeable going on down the road just a little bit further. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back again probably tomorrow night. I try to do this nightly now, and we'll make sure that we keep you up to date. I hope everybody is fun and free as frog's hair, and we'll be back again for you coming up tomorrow.